In today's video, I'm going to be modeling a column in Autodesk Robot. In our previous video, we showed you how to create project preference, story height, and axis line. So if you haven't watched that yet, go check it out in my description. Well, we're going to start by selecting the column type. Navigate to member section on the right side of your screen. And then you're going to see that Robot has default sections for you to use. But we are not interested in this, so you can move to the scissors icon here and delete everything. Do you want to delete all sections not present in this project? Yes, that's what I want to do. Navigate to new section, which is the white paper. This is going to appear. On the section type, we are going to start by defining RC column. So I'm going to move down to RC column. And on the material, I'm going to choose the kind of material that is present here. We have C2025. So basically, you can see that our code here has been set to Euro code for reinforced concrete. So if I choose C2025, it means concrete between 20 and 25 megapascal of strength. You can choose any of them based on your project, but this is for Euro code 2. So you can use concrete of 2025, concrete of 2530, and if you're using Biel, you should be using beton 20, beton 30, and so on and so forth. There are different type of column sections in Robot. We have the rectangular section, which is the first type, which we are going to set. For example, let's say we want to select our column C1, move to the label and type in C1 for the column section. You can choose the color of your column. So where we have written centimeters, you can define the section. So for example, if our column is 20 by 30, that means 20 centimeters by 30 centimeters. We are just going to define it here. Once we are done, we are going to click on add, and we can close this to see our column C1. So if we double click on column C1, we are going to see that our column is 20 by 30 section labeled C1. And there are different types of column in Autodesk Robot. For example, we can have the rectangular section, which is this. We have the L section column. We have the demi-Z column section. And this other section, which is the pentagonal column, the circular column, demi-circle, a quarter circle. And all these, we can define the dimensions. So for this project, we are just going to go with rectangular columns and of this section. Now if you want to set multiple column sections, for example, you have 20 by 30 and you have another column which is 20 by 40. You're going to move down to H here and type maybe 40, and that you're going to relabel it. Maybe your column C2 has that section, and you're just going to click on add. The next type of column section we are going to look at is the steel column. So to do that, we are going to click back on new section, and you are going to change from RC column to steel columns. On steel, we are going to choose the material. For example, let's say we are using S35 for this case, but if your steel column uses a different type of material, you're going to open and choose the kind of materials from this available. Now, another thing we are going to do is to go to our database and choose the kind of columns. For example, I like to use columns from France, and I like to use IPE. So move down to the family and change from CA to IPE. Which is this. Now if you're using HB model, if you're using the HEA model, you can choose here. If you're using the HEB model, you can choose any of the models you are using. You'll find it here. So for mine is IPE, and on the section I will be using IP 200. You can choose any other IP section you are familiar with, or if you are using HB model, you can choose any HB model you are familiar with, but make sure you select the family here before moving to section. Once you're done, you just discover that your label section will be IP 200, so you don't need to change anything there. On the color, you can choose your color based on the different type of colors that are available in Robot. And once done, you can click add. If your section is not found here, you can just move to other sections and check where your section is found. So once done, you're going to add the model to it, IPE. We are going to move to timber structures, and timber structures are usually mostly light structures. So we are going to click on new sections, and under section type we are going to change it to timber. Material, you are going to choose the kind of material you're using. For example, I'm going to use D40 for this case. Always refer to your code. For example, I'm using Euro code 5, so D40 is good for me. And you can always check on the type of wood you have. Sapele, what does sapele correspond in Euro code? Maybe it's C40, I don't know. You're going to check that out. And move to your section type. I'm going to choose Euro code 1995 here, and under the family I'm going to use all. That means it can be beam, it can be column, it can be whatsoever. So I'm going to choose the model that I want to use. I want to use a square section of 150 by 150. Once done, I'm going to click on add. There are different type of column sections. For example, if you navigate to parametric, you are going to see a rectangular section. You are going to see a double section. Most of the times these double sections are used for rafters. For example, you see these long wooden roofs, they have double sections, so they mostly use this for those kind of sections. So if you're choosing a circular section, you're going to put the diameter. If you're choosing the double section, you're just going to define the rectangular section here and the spacing between the two columns. If you're choosing the rectangular section, you put the dimensions here. So for rectangular sections, I want to use 10 by 15 and I want to name it CW1, meaning column wood 1. And I'm going to choose any color which I like maybe any of this one. And once I'm done, I'm going to click on add, close. We have actually defined the different type of column sections we need with their materials. That's the steel columns, the concrete columns, and the timber columns. For one project, you might be using just one type, so don't just define all because I defined all for this. I just want to show you how to define them. So once you're done, you're going to click on close. Let's say, for example, if you're working on a reinforced concrete building and you have your columns which are already placed on your foundation plan, you want to make sure that the project you're working on is on your foundation. I'm going to check here. I actually set this project to my foundation, so I'm inputting my columns on my foundation floor. Then I'm going to navigate to my right side of my screen and I'm going to choose on columns. And if I'm working with RC columns, as we have just said, I'm going to change from steel column to RC column, and I'm going to choose the different type of columns. So this is C1. I'm working with C1 for this case. Once done, I'm going to click on beginning here and I'm going to just place a column. So if let's say I'm placing a column here, I'm going to place it here, here, and I'll just place it wheresoever it is on my formwork. Once I'm done, I'm going to click on close, and this is how I place my RC column. Now we are just going to navigate to view to see it in 3D. So I'm going to click on view, and this is my column in 3D. If your column doesn't appear like this, you need to check if your section shape, so which is down on your screen here, section shape. So if I close it, you are going to see this. So maybe your columns can appear like this. You just have to activate your section shape so it appears like this. Once you're done, you're going to navigate to plan, and this is your column. If you're working on a steel project, you still navigate to column section and change from RC column to steel column. So if you define IP 200, it's going to show here. For example, we have IP 200 here. And if you add multiple sections, you could change equally on your column section. So let's say we want to place IP here. We're just going to place our columns, and that's it. And if you want to see it in 3D, you just navigate to view, and you can see this is your IP columns. You can click on escape. You can click on close to close the column, and move back, navigate back to plan. If you're working on something like timber column, you're going to click on the columns here. You're going to change from RC column to timber column, and you are going to see that we define the section CW1. You can just place your timber columns wheresoever you need them. And once you are done placing them, you click on close. You can move to view, and you see that you have placed your timber columns. And you are going to see the properties here. For example, this column is found on the foundation. It's of height 1.5